Good morning, beautiful bakers. I've had some questions about whether I'm going to tackle some more technical stamps and techniques, and I absolutely am. I want this space to be all inclusive, so I'm going to have a go at everything like you would at home, so you can see the techniques that I use, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, because I'm sure there will be some stuff that doesn't work. And we'll just go from there. So we're going to start off with this little dress pinny stamp. You can see there's lots of fine detail. Am I bringing that in there? Fine detail engraving on there. And I'm going to show you how to pick that up in two-toning. This stamp looks really sweet, even just in a plain color as well. I've also got like a sleeveless version, and I've just cut some of those beautiful little autumn butterflies out and rolled that into fondant, and I've hand painted around there. That's a nice easy one too, and I think it looks super effective. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So first up, I am gloving up just to make sure that my fondant is nice and pliable. I spoke about this yesterday. I wear gloves just for kneading my fondant, and then the gloves come off when I'm actually decorating my cookies. My hands are thoroughly washed. It's not a drama. So I'm going back to the color scheme that I chose yesterday. So this is just simply that Americolor ivory. I love the cream that throws. This is going to be the base of my cookies. I'm just going to pop that down. I'm also going to use my big guide here so I can roll that out with my nanny's rolling pin. Oh, see, look at that. Problem already. So see this? I haven't mixed my fondant in properly, so I'm just going to pull that up and give that another little bit of a wiggle around. Like I said yesterday, ivory Americolor throws really quickly, so you only need the tiniest, weeniest bit. So back to rolling. Beautiful. Done. Actually, I'm going to leave that sheet on there just for a bit of moisture while I'm two-toning, because sometimes two-toning can take a little while, and you don't want your you don't want your base fondant to dry out, because otherwise it's not going to bond properly with your two-tone. So I'm just going to move some stuff around here so I can squish you in. And I'm going to pop that up to the top there so you can still see what I'm doing here. So, okay, so you can dust this with a bit of corn flour if you want, or you can use a release agent cooking spray. I like the spray because it doesn't leave a residue on your fondant when you pull it out if you go sparingly. You can try this without the releasing agents, but because of all these tiny weeny fine details, I think it just saves a lot of heartache, and I don't think it's cheating. Some stamps are more detailed than others, and an important thing to remember is not everything is designed to be two-toned. This is a conversation I see often in the cookie chat groups and things like that about, oh, this person's stamp's no good because it can't be two-toned. Not everything was designed to be two-toned. So I just give that a soft rub in there with a little kabuki brush. And then I think I am probably going to fill my inside of the dress first. It is a deeper engrave. I'm not sure if you can really see that, but I find it's best to work with the deep parts first. So I'm going to try a couple of different things here. If the first one works, I'll stop. If it doesn't, I'll try a different way. So I've just got my really soft fondant there. I'm just going to poke that on the top, give it a bit of a press in. Now today I actually brought along my small rolling pin because I forgot that yesterday. Oops, I forgot that yesterday and I kind of struggled a bit with my big one. But I just do this because I like that it presses in and it fills all those bits for me. Then I'm going to take my two-tone tool and I'm just going to start just working that fondant back out of that recess. So you can see I'm actually really down low to my stamp. I'm not at 90. I'm right down as low as I can go, and I'm holding my stamp down firmly and I am slowly wiggling the excess fondant out of that design and pull it all the way to the edge, because it will pick up and pull bits out that you don't want to if you don't pull it off all the way to the edge. So again, just down, almost flat on it, wiggling and pulling it off. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I'm sort of going back and forth with my wiggling because as it's doing that, it's actually pushing the fondant into the design of the stamp. Right. Okay, so that's our first bit done. And then what I'm going to do is start to actually tidy this up a bit. So where I've got right to the edges, I'm just going to pull that out. I'm only taking the colour down as far as that first little apron section there. So I'm not fussed with what's happening with the very bottom. I just want to make sure that that insert is a nice clean break for when I start to pull my icing out of there. Right, cool. Then I'm just picking up these little scrappy bits, rolling them into a ball, and then I'm just pressing it on the bits that I want to remove. Will I leave that in there? Yeah, I might leave that bit in there. So you see how easily that picks up? I don't know how other people get it out, but that's what I'm doing. This is a throwback to my 80s posters on the wall and trying to get blue tack off the wall. Now you'll know how old I am. Okay, here we go. And then I've just got my little fondant eraser and I'm just cleaning up. I'm not sure if you can see in there. I'm just using my little fondant eraser just to clean up those little edges there. And then I turn it over and I'll have a look this side and I'll go, does that look all right? Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. I might sort of squish those bits over a bit. Yep, pretty happy there. So then I'm going to move on to my contrast colour and I'm going to go with like that rusty colour that I had on the butterfly frames yesterday. Not really a fan of this peachy colour, but anyway, I've committed now and the whole set's done in it. So do you ever do that you start something and you think, oh yeah, that looks all right, and then the further you go along, you go, nah, not really my cup of tea. Anywho, I've committed now. So now, why have I got gloves on? No wonder I'm struggling. I'm taking these off. I'm going to dust my hands in a bit of corn flour, just so they're not sticky. Okay, and now I'm going to start. Oh, so much easier. Okay, so I'm just picking out that little ruffle there. And then the same here, basically with the sleeve. Now I don't really muck around and leave that in there for too long. I like to get it out and see how it's traveling. So gentle. Again, holding your little tool or your extra stamp, whatever you're doing, as close down to the surface as you possibly can. Whoops, and see, didn't pick up that tiny bit there, so I'll just refill and give that another little squish. Now, I don't want to go over this too many times because it's a really detailed, fine area of the stamp. So you can see how it's got the bleed on this side. What I really should have done is the darker in there, so then that bleed doesn't come through, because sometimes you will get that bleed come through and there's nothing more frustrating. So I can see that I need to push that over there a little bit. Just work my fondant into there. Can you see that coming through as I'm pressing that? Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm just going to go and work on the other little sleeve. So poke some more in there. My camera's turned off on this end, so I can't see if I'm picking all this up. So I hope I don't have to edit it. I won't miss any steps, but if I'm out of view, I'll have to refilm that bit. Also, let's talk about painting stamps. I love painting stamps. I just find it really therapeutic and gives a whole different level of depth than what you can do in a fondant color. But I realize that there's a few misconceptions about painting stamps. So some people think that if your stamps are painted, then that is a clear indication that your stamp can't be two-toned. That might be the case with some stamps, but not all. So I think it's a little bit general, and unless you've actually tried the stamp yourself, you don't really know. Anywho, just wanted to get that one off my chest. Just filling this last little bit in here. And two-toning takes time. It takes practice. When it first came out, and let's throw a big shout out to who invented this entire technique, which was Sam from Sweet Bakes of Mine. She invented this technique, and then it absolutely took off. What a genius. Okay, so I've got my bottom bit in there. I hope you can see that. Then I'm just coming back along with my little fondant two-tone. Could you see how that cleaned up that edge there? Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I am going to, oh God, look at this fondant. See how it's bubbled? Because I left it too long. So I'm just going to pull that up, back down. Got the rolling pin back out. A nice flat surface again. Beautiful. Then I've got my stamp, and I'm just going to pick out a spot, pop it down, give it a little wiggle just to bond it. And then a roll, just making sure it's picking everything up. You can actually roll the opposite way. So roll your fondant onto your stamp. I'm not very good at that, so I won't be doing that in this case. Okay, so now we're just going to lift this baby off. We're going to cross our fingers and pray to the two-tone gods that it works. Oh, look at that. It's coming out beautifully. Just go slowly. Pick up from one side. If you notice that there's a side, oh, see that? See that little pesky bit there? He does not want to catch. So if I can get that back down there properly without it bleeding, then I'm going to go back over and roll that. Not ideal, but like I said, this is not your polished version. This is your actual real time of how this works. Okay, let's go again. Fingers crossed. It's picking up nicely. Oh, no. See, that little pesky bugger just does not want to come out. What am I going to do there? This is what I'm going to do. How crazy is that? Okay, this time I think I'm going to try and pull from a different side and see if it catches easier. It's right. I'm going to go up there. It still wants to stay in the stamp. Mind my 53-year-old hands. You're not going to see model hands on here. You're going to see actual Nana hands. Oh, praise the Lord, it worked. Okay, but as you can see, it can be a bit bloody frustrating when you're two-toning. But anywho, we got there in the end. So, like I do with all my cookies, I stamp down first and remove the fondant from the edge. Now, I've got my cheap little Kmart board here, which I'm going to pop this onto. Actually floured my pizza slide today, so it should be a bit easier. And then I'll bring it down so you can see. Giving him a little bit of a shake. That all looks really sweet. Do we want a butterfly on there? Let's do a little butterfly. Just in case she didn't pick up yesterday's on how I use these little petite impression stamps. And what have I lost? Nothing? I'm good. So I've got my edible image guide there. These are just so handy for this sort of thing. Rolling out really thin. Peeling him off. Little butterfly in. Shake. Pull off the excess. Turning him over. Oh, what a fiasco that was. So then always check the back and make sure you've got those extra little bits out that you don't want in there. So you can see he's in there. He is way definitely not filled to the top of this stamp, and you do not want that. Yesterday when I used this on edible icing, I popped a tiny bit of water on the back. Not necessary when you're working with fondant, because you actually want it to press into the fondant, like to press in. I'll just move that back. I hope you can see this. I can't, my camera's gone black. And then lifting quickly. Super sweet. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we've got. And here she is, a beautifully little two-toned Pinny. Like I say, you can paint her, you can two-tone her, or you can keep her one colour. I think she's super sweet and a bit of an all-rounder. If you like what you see, please hit a like or even subscribe if you want to see the new videos coming up. I'm so learning in this platform, but I really hope you'll come along for my journey. Thanks.